Good morning, everybody. I am making this at 9 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 7:40, which for me is absolutely awesome. I actually got a good night's sleep last night, which is another awesome thing. Lately, I've really been struggling with sleep. I keep being awake until like 2 and 3 in the morning, and then my body wants to crash and sleep till noon in the noon, 1 in the afternoon. And so I've been struggling to fix that issue, and it's been very unsuccessful, I might say. So yeah, I was very, very grateful to actually wake up at 7:40 this morning and feel rested, and was like, wow, that's awesome. So I am making another one of these, and because there's some things that I did not show you before that I want to show you now. There's some options of things that you can do. Let me get these out of the way. There's some options of things that you can do that I did not show you in the last set that we made. So I wanted to show those to you so that you know that these exist out there and that you're able to add this to your situation. Because it occurred to me that, number one, I didn't ink any of the stuff, the birds, the little birds. I didn't ink these. And I don't always ink pictures. Especially if they have a frame-like structure around them. I don't always ink those. And these, I did not feel the need to ink. And they look gorgeous, and they're beautiful, and that's just fine. So, these I did not ink. But the ones that I'm doing today, I want to ink. And the other thing I noticed was that this one, this paper, okay, you see on the original one, hang on a second. You see on the original one, let me make sure I'm still in frame. On this original one right here, you can see that this paper sticks out a little bit further, and that, you know, so it could, and it has the tab glued to it. Now, what I realized when I made my little birdies was I ended up not having this extra piece, you know, coming down, and I was perplexed as to why I didn't. And then after I looked at everything very carefully, I realized I had cut this piece right here. I had cut it from the 8.5 side, I believe. Hold on. No, that says it's 11. So I am not sure what I did. The only thing I can think of is maybe I didn't start it out perfectly on the top. I don't know, but it looks like I did. So for some reason, this is not as long as that one. And it doesn't matter because, like I said, I'm going to put a little bit longer tab on this bottom sheet, and it'll still work just fine. You know, that won't be an issue. I'm just putting my tab a little bit further down. And so that's how we're going to fix that. What I did want to do, though, I wanted to show you about inking these, and also about this next one that I'm going to do. It's from that same pile of stuff, you know, the ones where I got the 30 sheets. This is the horse sheet. And I've got these little bitty images, and it's the way that they're laid out. They're tiny. I may not use these two. They're slightly smaller than the rest of them. But they're small images. So on a 3-inch square, these little guys are way small in the middle, like little bitty. So what I decided what I want to do with this, these horses are going to go into a very special journal. This is, hang on a second, let me grab it. It's underneath here somewhere. Did I stick it back? Okay, what did I do with it? There it is. Set my cutting tool on top of it. This is the journal that this is going to go in. And this journal is very special. This is the very first journal that I ever made in my life. Very first one. Hang on, I'm trying to get in frame. This is the very first journal I ever made. It has all different kinds of beautiful images and beautiful papers in it. And it's a true junk journal. It uses all different kinds of papers. This is out of a cookbook, I believe. But it has, and the way this is set up, it has 2 signatures, and they're slightly apart from each other. And that is so this little companion piece, and this is a covered small composition book. And it's covered with the same front cloth and a little bit of paper here. And this is the, you know, extra thing that you can take along with you to do writing, or, you know, that kind of thing when you're, not with your regular journal, or if you don't want to carry it, you can just stick this in your purse. So this has an insert in here, and that's what makes it full, is like this. You can see how that sits. Well, actually, it looks like this when you see it on the actual right side, because you've got the signature, and then you've got your pretty little takeaway and the other signature, and that's what it's made with. It has little tabs in here to give it some little sections in it for you to do things with. So that's just an extra. But this journal, I have now know who I'm going to give it to, and it is a very special person, and so I want it to be special. And so this is going to go in here. But what's special about this journal, it has a lot of hints of pink throughout it. And I kept looking at this going, this just doesn't go great with pink. What I found was I went through my stash and I found this paper. And so what I'm going to do is, you have your 3-inch piece here. I'm going to make a 2.5-inch triangle here. And then the pictures, all of them fit within 2 inches. So there will be a slight border of this lovely paper that will create like a frame. You know how you have mats in a frame? Well, this is going to be the mat to the frame. So this is going to be something different. And I'm planning on inking these images. So we will play around with that a little bit, because I realized mine cut out, the video cut out earlier, you know, a couple of days ago when I was making that video. It cut out just before I had finished doing this. And I did this in a poor order, and I wanted to explain that to you. When you're making these, it is helpful to place your images, fix these frames up. See that frame? Fix this up completely before you attach it to the back piece and start to make it where it works. It's much easier. I had to do it backwards on this one because I've put these together and realized, you silly girl, you forgot to put the images on them, duh. So I had to go back and put the images on them. And so that was not the easiest way to do it. This one was made late at night and my brain was tired. And so I did it, you know, backwards. So with this one, we're going to do this, and I'm going to stop for a minute here. And, well, actually, I'm going to show you a second here. I want to show you about the inking. If you buy one ink pad, I would buy one ink pad, and it could be either Distress Inks or Distress Ink Oxide. Whatever you find is fine. And I would make it either Vintage Photo or Walnut Stain, whichever one. I've got Walnut Stain because when I went to buy this, they didn't have a Vintage Photo in stock. So I bought the Walnut Stain, and the Walnut Stain does a beautiful job also. But it is both of those are a lovely antique look aged finish that they provide. And the reason that we ink is very simple. We ink to cover up. We ink to give, if there's no aged look to the page, you can see barely. There's a slight increase of the brown on the top here. But what you see here is, let me show you the difference. Hang on one second. Grab one of these. Okay. When you see, okay, I'll buy it. What did I do with them? Okay, I'll show you on this. I cut this a minute ago. This is part of that pack, has horses that are larger. And this horse looks somewhat like my horse. My horse has the white coming down up to her nose, and she has 2 white back feet. And she is a beautiful roan, red, kind of brown color. Absolutely gorgeous. But if you look at the edges of this paper, when it's not inked, if you look at the edge, you can see that tiny sliver of white. Having worked in the paper, you know, in making things with paper in the past, we never inked anything at the print shop, obviously, because you don't do that with things you're printing typically. And we made things like newsletters and catalogs and stuff like that. So that was not things that we did. But for this, when you're doing this now and you're doing it for art, then if you can see on this one, you have that brown instead of the white here. And that's one of the primary reasons that you want to ink something, is to give it, as you can see, when you look at it this way and you look to the front, there's the slate brown, and this was part of the image also, but you carry it over to here so that it doesn't create that stark white. Like when you're pulling these up, you might notice, with this one I don't see it, and that's fine, but you might notice that little edge of white when you're flipping it up. So I inked these, and I'm going to ink these as well. And so that was one thing I wanted to show you. And when you're inking, you just simply take, you know, your ink, and you can buy a set of these little daubers, 2 of them, and a couple of 3 extra pairs of the little sponge on here. Or if you don't have the money to go buy that, you can take a, hang on a second, let me grab it. You can take an old spool of thread. This is a very old spool of thread. Hang on. It's dusty. It's very, very old. I would never sew with this. However, for this purpose, you can also take this sponge, and it has a sticky adhesive on the back, and you can just adhere it down here, or you can also glue it extra if you want. Actually, I would do it on this end, because this end has got a little bit, it doesn't have that paper on it, so it won't come off if the paper came off. If you adhere it to the paper and the paper came off, you would lose your piece of your, you know, this would come off with it. So it's probably better, add a little bit of glue in around and like in the center, and maybe around this little inside little circle to hold it down, and then take it and pop that down on top of there, and it will make you a perfectly good inker out of a spool of thread. And so that's an alternative. Like I said, I want to share with y'all all the things that you can do that make it less expensive to do this and just as much fun. So anyway, this is what we will do, is we will take our our ink pad, and the ink pad eventually will act like it's kind of drying out, especially if you forget to put the lid back on it. That's why you want to put your lids back on them. You can see what this is doing right now. See that hint of a brown? It creates just that lovely illusion of a frame and a hint of aging to it. And this is not perfect science. Sometimes it'll be a little bit more, sometimes it'll be a little bit less, and that is part of the beauty of it. Here you can see it went just a little bit higher. It's very subtle, but in aging things that are aged are not perfect. They're not supposed to be perfect. They are vintage. And if you've ever seen aged papers and stuff that are naturally aged, they are not like cut and dry. They are beautifully modeled and shaded to make, that gives that impression of something being very old. Actually, you can look at like some of the papers in here. Hang on, let me see if I've got anything. And before I open that, I am going to cover the lid on this because I do not want ink. And I'll put that over there. I do not want ink on this journal. But you can see this paper on this. This is like a 1980s paper. The magazine was like a 1980s book. So you can see it has a natural hint of that aged look to it. I didn't do anything to create that. Now, when you look at this page, this is a coffee dyed paper. And this one, it looks like it's old, been exposed to maybe some moisture and, different things. And this one, though, I made it look that way. And so, yeah. And for some reason, I've got that folded there. Maybe I was going to do a little tuck with that. But yeah, you can see, and it has darker spots and lighter spots. So when you age things on purpose, rather than having them age naturally, it looks a little different. But it still looks cool. Like this piece, this is out of that same 1980s. That used to not be quite so dark as it is right now. This is aging on it. If you looked at a magazine page right now, it would be a stark difference. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about the aging of the paper. So anyway, let me highlight, let me do these real quick, and then I'll be right back so I can show you. Well, I'll just set them aside. That's all right. So these are our little 3.5-inch squares that are going to make the base for this. And what I need to do now is take this and I'm going to cut out, this is going to be the mat, so to speak, on the frame there. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm not going to make this 3 inches. I'm going to make this one 2.5 inches, because all of the images fall within a 2-inch margin. If I go a 2.5 inch, I'll have roughly a 1/4 inch of frame all the way around. So we're going to cut one of these, and I'll show you how they fit. You cut this into 2.5 inches. There's a 2.5 inch piece, and then we are going to cut off, I'm going to cut off a 2.5 inch piece off of this. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing to, let me move that cutter out of the way, or the scoreboard out of the way. Make sure I am in screen, because I apologize, I'm not doing a very good job of being in screen, so I want to fix that. Okay, here's this. The 2.5 inch mark is right here, 2.5. So you line that up, and you be careful that you are, oops, a little bit more. You want to be careful that you are flat. Remember I was telling you there's edges here. They help line up your paper to make it straight. Then you have to just come this direction to the measurement that you want, and it will keep you straight. So I'm going to go and I'm going to make a 2.5 inch square right here. Set that aside, and let me show you what this looks like. Get this out of the way. We would have your primary square right here. Then this will inset just a little bit, like that 2.5. That's going to give you a 1/4 inch all the way around. Then after that, we're going to put our, hang on a second. Okay, where did my horsies go? They were here a second ago. This is just silly. Where are my horsies? Oh, there they are. I was going to say they were here just a second ago. All right, and then that's going to put the horse right in here. And the reason I did this was, in that pink journal, the person who that journal is for, their favorite color is pink. Has been their entire lives. Their favorite color is pink. So, yeah. What I wanted to do was I wanted this to fit better than just brown and horse photo. I wanted this to fit a little more perfectly in that journal with a hint of pink. And actually, this needs to be, and this is something you need to note on this. This paper has that fake, there's a name for it. I can't think of it. It starts with an A. Acidic, or not, it's not acidic. I'll look it up for you. It's a name for that fake writing that you see on so many artistic stuff and the fake stuff. But this is this has a direction to it. So you would want to make sure that you would put the direction so that that fake writing, you can tell the direction it looks like it ought to be going. So you'd want to do it that way, so it'd be right side up. Otherwise, that's going to draw away from your picture. People are going to look at that and go, dang, that's upside down, or that's sideways. And it'll be a slight distraction. And then you would put your horse picture in the middle. So here, instead of looking like this, where I had a larger picture, I have a smaller picture. And so it looks like this. And that looks really pretty. When we get, when I sit down and do all of these, and what you'll do is you'll just glue down your background here. And this is just on a regular copy type piece of paper. This is printed out on lightweight cardstock. This is a lightweight cardstock. This is copy paper. Just, well, it might be a 28 pound. It's slightly more than the 20 pound copy paper, but not much. Not anything near any kind of, it's stationary weight kind of thing. Nowhere near a cardstock. So, this can afford to be lightweight because it's not flipping back and forth. It's just being attached to the frame. And then this will be in the center of it. Okay, so let me go off camera for a minute, and I'm going to finish cutting all this out and stuff, and then I can finish showing you what we missed when the camera cut off before. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, everything's cut up. I've got 6 of the pictures, 6 of the frame inside matte pieces and 6 of the frames. So I'm going to let let y'all watch while I put this together. The last thing I'm going to put on is the pictures. First thing I'm going to do is add these matte effect pieces to my frames. And this is very simple. I'll just show you one and then I'll get off camera and finish the others. When you do this, you do not put the glue on this piece. You always put the glue on the piece you're adding, unless, of course, there's something unusual, like when you're working with an envelope and you've got a weird image, a weird edge, then you would want to put it on where the weird edge is. Anyway, with this, we're going to add, make sure you got just one, because sometimes you can get two. We're going to add next this piece. So let's put some glue on this piece. And the most important thing is to get the glue all the way to the edges. So we're going to start out, hang on, let the glue come down. Glue has to do its thing to get in place. Okay, we are going to put the glue down lightly. If it'll come out. Alright, glue. Sometimes it does that. Oh, still hanging there. Throw that away. So we are going to put down glue lightly, not too heavy, but we're going to put it down really close. Come on, out of there. Quit being ornery. Okay, we're going to put it not too thick, but we want to get some close to the edge here. All the way around, close to the edge. But not too thick, because we don't want it goofing, gooping out everywhere. So we're going to get right up to this edge and go around and right up to that edge, because that's the whole point. You want it on all the edges, and then we'll add some in the middle. It's lacking a little bit for that edge, so I'm going to bring a little bit down extra. And what I'll do, kind of smoosh this along. You want enough to hold it down, but not enough that it's going everywhere. And you want to get it close to that edge. Right close to the edge. Then you add a little bit to the middle. So the middle will stay down. But if the edges are all good, then the middle's not going to be a problem. Now, remember, give it a quick look. Make sure what direction the writing's going, that it's going sideways instead of up and down, so it looks right. All right, we're going to put this, just lay it lightly down, because you may need to adjust it just a hair. I need to come this way just a hair. And then push it down. And when you push it down, just gently push the whole thing down. Now, I see that there's a tiny bit of glue coming off of here. This is a silicone glue, so if you gently rub it, it'll come up. It may take a little of that ink with it, if you've inked that, but it'll come up. Ah, shoot, I put my... Oh, that's going to be covered by the picture, so it's no big deal. But this way you can get, if there's any little loose bit. Now, this won't work that way with a paste, like a white glue. This just works with this silicone glue to do this. It doesn't typically work like that with like an Elmer's or something along those lines. Tacky glue. Tacky glue won't do that. Sorry, I'm trying to keep from adding glue to it as I'm doing this. And another way you can avoid it doing this is, like I said, as you can see, I was trying to not have the glue come out on the edge, but a little of it came out on the edge anyway. So I just gently rub on it here to get that fixed. And I'm rubbing very, very lightly to pull that off. You want to pull all of it off if you can. Part of that is not the glue, part of that is just the discoloration or the coloring of the paper. Alright, so you're gluing it like that, and now that piece is on in the middle. then you'll take one of your images and it's going to go and be centered in the middle of that. So the next one we do, this one's a little heavier. It's printed on a lightweight cardstock. And this is being messy. Hang on a second. I gotta fix the glue real quick. Let me get a wipe. Wipe that off of my hand. Baby wipes are godsend at the craft table, especially when it comes to glue and ink and all that kind of, because I get ink all over me. When you ink things, you can get ink all over you, so just be aware you might want to wipe your fingers off after you do a bunch of inking. And just make sure it's all gone. Okay, they got rid of that glue. Now, that's out of the way. Make sure my hands are dry. It's like hooray for baby wipes. Let me move this out of the way because I don't want to do this on top of that. And usually, hang on a second, I don't usually glue directly to my mat. I usually use a piece of glue paper. And glue paper is any paper you have that's left over extra that's not going to be used for anything else, like book pages or magazine pages, or, you know, sometimes people will even use a whole book. If you've taken and used the cover, say, for something else, and you've got the book, but you're not using the book pages for, you know, maybe it's a modern book. It's not something that's aged or anything like that. So you really have no particular use for those pages. Then you might take them out and just use them as glue pages. Okay, on this one, I'm going to do it a little differently because this glue came out kind of gloopy. So what I'm going to do is take my finger. I want to get it to the edge, but I want to take away the extra. Yeah, I'll take that extra away and put it somewhere else on the picture. Okay, I'm going to move it over from that because I don't want to have any of that glue go anywhere on it. Okay, I'm trying to spread it all out, but I'm also trying to wipe away this extra a little bit, you know. And I'm going to take a half a second here and do the baby wipe because I have successfully on virtually all 10 fingers gotten glue. Ah, shoot, it went flying with me. Okay, hang on, you can't lay that way. Go this way. This is really, like I said, this thing put down too much glue for me and it made a mess. And it's trying to stick to me instead of where it needs to stick. And just a second, paper. I'm going to get this glue off my hands so I can safely handle you. Oh, this stuff is sticky. And yes, it doesn't like to come off with, just because it's, you know, a wet wipe I'm using doesn't make it come off easily because it is not a water-based product. Therefore, it's like, nope, I don't have to obey you. It's more of a pressure pulling it off than you're doing than it's not coming off like a paste. It's coming off by the pressure I'm pushing with to get it off. And we'll do the same thing on this other hand real quick. And yes, I'm trying to do this quickly because I still got to put that picture down, but I don't want to ruin it by having glue on my hands. Alright, so here we go. There's this piece, and here is our horse. Right in the center, approximately. And then we put her down. So, this is what it looks like. Right like that. And that's what each one of our pieces are going to look. We'll have the inked horse, we'll have the pink frame, and then the light brown background for it. And I am going to, by the magic of video making, put it on pause now and finish these, and that way I can go right to the place where we left off. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Got all these things put together and they're ready to be glued down. I've put them in the order that I like the horses to be in. This one up front is the one that looks most like my horse, so I put that one on top. Because this one's going to go in my that book that I made a long, long time ago. All right. So, and yeah, I slipped up and said my daughter, and yes, this book is for my daughter. When she was a little girl, I always gave her the first of everything I made, because I was doing all different kinds of crafts back then. And so she was as young as a toddler, and absolutely loved being my kid tester. So I let her be my kid tester. Hang on, I need to figure this out just a second. If I put this top one down here, it's going to end up being down here on the bottom. So I think I need to do these in reverse order, because this is the one that's going to be on top. Okay, yeah, I need to do that in reverse order. Hang on, let me fix these in so they'll go the right direction. And this one on top, that one first, and this one, and this one. These are such beautiful horse images. I have debated between these two. My horse is this closer to this color, but she has her, this is closer to her, well, sort of like. Neither of them are exactly perfect her, but hey, that's all right. They're cute. Okay, now I've lost track of where I was. Oh, I'm not doing this right. Okay, sorry. I sat here and talked and got myself off track. So, they need to go in the opposite order. I'm going to turn them this way. And that way I don't have to sit here and reconfigure all of it. That makes the most sense. Just turn the thing over. Now, what we're going to do on this, and if you remember, I believe we got that this showed up in the other one. And if it didn't, let me review it real quick. I used a scoreboard to make these little lines at every ½ inch. I did 6 lines. And if you didn't have a scoreboard, you can take a ruler, and if you have like a mechanical pencil that you can retract to the lead on, ouch, poke myself there, that you can retract your lid on, but say it has this kind of a pointy, not really pointy, but this pointed end to it, you can take a ruler, where'd my 6-inch ruler go? I've probably covered it up. If I haven't covered it, there it is. I was going to say, I've covered it up somewhere. You could take a ruler and lay it on the line where you want it, measure down a ½ inch, and put the ruler there, and use this kind of a retracted mechanical pencil, like at a slight angle, so that it's not so pointy, but yet it's pointed. And you'd lay it there, and you would press down on it and go across it this way, and it would leave the same kind of a mark. And that, what that mark is doing, when you score something, it's cutting into the paper, fabric of the paper. Paper has a has ways that it goes, like lengthwise and up and down, and there's fibers in there. And when you're doing, when you're making a score, you're cutting through those fibers to create a dent in there. And then when you get ready to fold it, it creates a weak spot in the fabric of the paper, and it makes it easier to fold and hold a position. And then when you can technically use your fingernails, but it gets old doing it that way. Or you use even like the back of your scissors, or any number of things that you can use to burnish that line, so that it won't, that'll hold the line better. And then you do that for 6 of these. And then what you do is you start out at the top here, use the very top, and you fold over that first little line. And then you're going to add glue to that line, and then you're going to put the top of this, you're going to glue that down like that. And when you do that, you want to make sure that you line it this way, and tap it gently to make sure that it's in line with your paper, because it's really important that these things line up. As we do all 6 of them, they need to line up in order to be effective with the waterfall. So we would take this baby and set it right there, and then we would take this, and once again, this is not as critical that it be right on the edge, because Basically what you're trying to do here is glue it down so that it stays in place. This is not like a picture you're trying to fit on here perfectly. So just a light covering of glue, you know, all around is plenty. Don't need just a ton of glue. Just a light laying of the glue down there. And then you're going to take this and you're going to put it against that right there, and then line it up here. But before you press it down forever, tap it gently, make sure it's lined up, then put it here and look at your lines and make sure that they are lined up at the top. That it's lined up in line. You don't want it to be side-goggly. And you want to look down here and make sure that it still looks correct. So this is down here and it is correct. And now we're going to press it shut. So we're going to put that baby down and press it down. Oh, and that totally just moved on me. Well, that wasn't nice of you. Okay, let's fix you real quick. One of the nice things about Fabri-Tac glue, you do have a minute there that you can adjust things if they go wrong. And it is now still not quite right. It must be a little high on this side. Okay, now it is sitting pretty close to perfect right there. That is the most important thing. It can be a little bit wonky as far as not being right perfect up to the edge there, but it's got to be straight because that's important to the functioning of the waterfall. Then what you do, after you get that one glued down, you pull it up back here to make sure that it's not got any glue spreading anywhere else, like so. And then you're going to fold over to that next little fold right there. And you pull that down. And now you're going to glue your next one onto this piece at the same spot here, just like that. Just like that is where it's going to fit. And that's going to make the second piece of the waterfall. So here we go. We'll take this and hang on while I get this glue off the end of the paper or glue bottle. I don't need that. Get that off of there. And we're going to put just a little bit of glue down here. Nothing big. Just a little bit of glue down here. Right along the edge here. You know. Right through there. And we're going to take this other piece. That may not be enough glue. I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of dry. Hang on. Let me add just a little bit more. It was coming out too small. It was coming out so thin that it was not really covering. Okay. A little bit extra there. Nothing thick because you don't want it going everywhere. And actually what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a quick finger smoosh and make sure that it's not too thick. Now we're going to lay this right here on top of this very carefully. We're going to take it, tap it, make sure it's in place with the width of the board of the previous piece, of the whole thing rather. Then we're going to let it get up here where it belongs because it's a little bit low. Hang on. Needs to go up that way a little bit. Pushing the wrong one. No wonder it wasn't moving. Helps if you push the right one. Okay, that's got it even up here. Let me make sure it's even down here again. Hold on. Why are you going wonky? This is not acceptable. Quit that. Okay, there's that. And that's the one beneath it trying to go wonky, and I don't know why. Did I push it wrong? I don't know. Hang on, let me look at this and see, did I push it wrong? No, it looks right. Okay. It looks okay now. Why is it looking off on this corner fold? That makes no sense. Oh well, we'll see how it goes. We will see how this goes, because I may have to make a slight correction on the fold or something. There we go. That should fix it. There now. If all else fails, line it up the way you want it and do a finger press across the top, because sometimes a slight change can try to make, and when you've scored it, just a little slight change is all it takes. Okay, now this is down to number 3. Here we go. We have that top ½ inch right here, and once again you've got your first one and your second one, and they're layered up. Now you're going to take your third one And you are going to take this, set it right there. Once again, wipe the extra glue off the top of the bottle. It's being ornery. I'm not pressing it hard enough to release, to expand enough air so that when I pull it back, when I let it go, it would pull the extra glue down from the top of it here. And that's why the air bubble, as it comes up to the top, pushes that extra glue out like a syringe. And that's why it does that. There actually is a legitimate reason that it does that. It's not just being ornery. And the only way you can fix that is to have squeezed the bottle hard enough to make up for the amount of glue that is still in the top of the glue piece. Whatever you call it. Nib, top, something. Okay, here we go. Next one. Lay it down right here. Lay it down so that it's close. Take this, set it down, tap it good, so at least it's lined up that direction. Then work on lining it up this direction. How close are we? It's a little off on that side. Oh, wait a minute. I just made a mess. Okay, let me fix that. There. Donna. Come on. Get it right there. Get it where it belongs. And then press it down. Glue it down. Natasha at Treasure Books is hilarious. She calls her husband the husbandator. He does a very, very good, I don't know, make comment on Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator movies. And he's pretty funny. But she had him come in her craft room one day when she was recording and had him talk like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was pretty impressive, I have to admit. He's pretty good at it. And once you hear that and you hear things like glue it down in that voice, it's so funny. It's like you can't forget it. And every time you hear that, you think glue it down, you hear it in his Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. And it is so silly. But it has stuck with me, I have to admit. She's really fun. Funny lady. Fun lady. I enjoy her material a lot. Like I said, she's the one that's over the top on everything. And go look at her stuff if you want to be inspired. Because she is an inspiration. She is the picture of the crafter who has it, has taken it all over the top. I mean, she really has. She is gifted in many things. She is a mom and a crafter. Okay, let me do that. Make sure it's right here. That's looking pretty good. Alright, I think we got that one fixed. I'm telling you what, I'm really enjoying making these. They are actually, considering the fact that I hesitated about making them for so long, now that I've actually found out how you make them, they're fun. I'm really having fun at this, because it's something that's so pretty to work. It really is. It's just, they're beautiful. And there are elements like that that are so pretty and interactive, and they're over the top, They're not, it's not just a pocket or a tuck or something. It's a wonderful piece of interactive artwork that was fun to make and fun to play with. And I'm sorry you don't ever get tired of going flip, 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 flip with that stuff. Once you put it in your book, it's like you want to play with it all the time. I'm sitting here playing with them on my desk. I've got 3 of them now. I've been itching to put this one together so I could do it with y'all. But I had to go feed the horse and all that kind of stuff. Go love on my horsey. Okay, let's see here. Now we're going to do one left. And our last fold comes down again. And this is the 6th line that we're folding. Right at the top here is the 6th line. Let's see if we can do anything with this glue that's up on the top. Yeah, I think we can do stuff with that, no problem. All right. Now this one did have a little bit more glue to it, so I am going to take out the finger tool here. That is a Pam at the Paper Outpost term, so I may give her credit where credit is due. I learned that from her years ago, and it stuck. Okay, here we go. We'll line this up this way, just like so. Get it in line there. Take it here, tap it in place, make sure it's in line with the others. Make sure it's in its space here. All right, then we gently press it down. Yep, we just gently press it down. And each time you're doing this, you do want to flip them up and make sure they didn't stick. You know, that nothing came out the back side that would cause them to stick. And just do that real quick and look at them. Without moving them around, though. You know, you want to keep them still. Okay, so that's how you put this together. The next thing that we do, hang on a minute, I got to fix this thing, so give me just a minute. Okay, I am back, and I have made a little bit of adjustments for this one, because this one is not going to go in envelope. If you were doing an envelope, all you'll do is you'll measure this out to the size of your envelope. This is a little bit wider than what an envelope would be, and that's only because it's going to go into a page in this book instead of on the envelope. See, it'll be fitting on a page like this, and this is wider than the 4 inches of the envelope. So what you do is you take this and you want to measure wherever it is you're putting it to, and it needs to be a 1/2 inch wider on each side, so you make it 4 inches instead of the 3 inches of the width of your square. And what I'm doing is, you don't have to do this, I'm just doing it because it makes me feel more comfortable, confident, whatever. And you come over 1/2 inch and you score it. And then you come here and you come over 1/2 inch and you score it right there. Because what you're gonna do is you're going to glue these 2 little pieces. So for me, I wanted to be able to flip them up easier to put glue on them. I'm gonna, excuse me, you take this, you have it centered and where you want it on the page or on your envelope, either way. I am looking at this, trying to figure out, let me measure this thing. It is 4 1/2 roughly. So that would be 2 1/4 at the center spot. So 2 1/4 is right there. So I want to make just the tiniest little mark. Just the tiniest little mark. So that I have something to aim for. Right there. And then I'm going to center it. And when you put this piece down, you don't just, it's not going to be seen except for these 2 little end pieces. What you do is you come up under here, under this edge. So it's important you have this centered. You come up under this edge, and you're going to have that 1/2 inch on either side. And I'm a little bit off center here. Let me get that right. There's my 2 1/2, or 2 1/4. This is 3, so I would need 1 1/2. And make a little tiny dot here on 1 1/2. So I have something to line up with. My 2 little dots that'll help me get my center. Now, I need to center it as far as height and width-wise. And I've got my center matched up to my center here, so everything should be cool. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and slide it up under a little bit, just a little bit up under there, like so. And then we are going to have it situated so that it's got, that's the other reason I like the score mark. It helps me to mark the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so it's going to be perfectly centered so that those 2 1/2 inch marks are there. We're going to hold this down now, and we're going to lift this up, the other reason I like to score it. Makes it easier to lift it up instead of having to fight with it, because it's already got a score to let it come up. Let's lift up the other side. It's going to be the same way. It's already got a score in it to help it lift up. And I think I just moved this thing by accident. I got to check my alignment here, because it felt like I moved it a little bit. Okay, that looks basically aligned. Hang on, let's see how that looks. Does that look better? Yeah, that kind of looks better. It almost feels like it's too much this direction though. Like it's not quite. Hang on. It looks like it's lined up now. It just was sitting funny. Alright, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each side of this. And we want to put just a small amount of glue. You don't want it going everywhere, because this is one of those you don't want it spewing out over. So I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to do a little bit of a finger smoosh on here so we don't have too much extra glue come out. And then you just lay that down there. Then you're going to come to this other side, and then dang, I messed it up. I moved it. Hang on, you're going to come to this other side. I was trying to get the glue off my finger and just use it there, but not going to happen that way. So I'm going to finger smoosh this also, very gently. Then we're going to glue it down here, and that'll go there. So it's going to go on each side. And what that's doing is that this is creating the track for the waterfall to move up and down on. So that's what we're doing here, is we're creating that track. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is, hang on a minute. Let me double check this and make sure I tell you right. Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't telling you wrong. What you have here now is this little piece here, and this provides the track for your waterfall. And what you're going to do is bring your waterfall down. You're going to slide it in under this. And then what you're going to do is going to, hang on a minute. I'm going to glue that to there. Okay, she's got you gluing.
Fold all of the flaps down.
Okay, I see.
Burnish it.
All right, cool. We're going to put, you want this, lined up in here. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this part here, get it lined up correctly. There we go. And then we're going to take and put glue on the outside of this thing. Just on this strip going across. Not anywhere else. Just on the strip going across. Like this. And you're going to do it just within the space that the thing is. Okay. So we've got glue on here now. Good. And I am going to finger smush this so that it's in place, but there's no excess glue. Because I don't want excess gluing this thing together in the wrong spot. There was a tiny bit that went over, so I'll move that out of the way. Okay, this has got this, and then what you do is you pull down and you flip over your entire thing here. Hang on, I got to get it lined back up again before I put this down. Get back on my center dots. Make sure they are centered. Make sure my height is correct on the top. Okay, get it centered again. Dang. This thing moves around a lot if you're not careful. This is a tricky bit. And you're going to bring this all the way down and lay it down and glue it in place. This is gluing, this is creating the thing that keeps it from flopping around everywhere. So you burnish that, you put it in place. Now it's time to put your little tag on here so that you don't tear up the paper while you're going back and forth with it. Let me see what I can find that would look good with this. Give me a minute. I'm going to dig for something pink. Okay, I apologize. I forgot to turn the camera back on. I found my pink. I got a little piece of pink ribbon, and I glued that down on the front and on the back, and you have to pull this down to do that. So either that or you can put this on before you put it in. Just put it at the center. That might be easier. And so now it has its little pull. It has a lovely little tiny flower that I found. I've got a whole string of these things. And they're in pink and green, so I grabbed me a little pink flower. That'll hide any plainness of having just the cut ribbon there. Puts it under a cute little flower, makes your little pull, and off you go. And that is how you do the waterfall. As far as things that I learned, I would always put your pictures and stuff on the squares before you put it together. Be aware, do the scoring on 1/2 inch on either side of this, and it's going to measure to whatever measurement you want it against your paper. Be sure that the glue doesn't go anywhere inside that. It stays only on the little flaps. Other than that, most everything is really like super self-explanatory. This may be a little bit of an issue. I am thinking to put it all the way up like that. Got a kitty foot helping me. So, I don't know. They tend, that very top one, you want to burnish it again, because this very top one tends to want to not fold quite tight enough to keep it down all the time. And I think it's just part of the, the way paper behaves in this kind of a design. But anyway, this is a waterfall to go in your journal. And you can put it, as I was telling you, if you're using an envelope. Kitty, I'm so sorry. I hate to move you. You're fast asleep and have been fast asleep. I'm grabbing for an envelope somewhere. Come here, envelope. Okay. When you put this on the envelope, you're going to put it down with these. This little thing is going to be approximately the width of your envelope, and you will put it down that way. And it should be 4 inches to fit just fine. And you'll have a 1/2 inch hinge on either side. As far as that, should be no problem. And you'll notice, excuse me, you'll notice this is not glued down to the paper at all. Doesn't have to be. This actually, when you did this little piece right here, where you glued it down, the back of it down to the top of this little hinge piece, that one little area of glue that we did, that is how it happens that you don't have to have. That's what allows this to go back and forth, so that you don't have to glue down anything. It's right there, and it's glued down. Just, simple as pie, really, when you consider it. It's not anywhere near as hard as I thought it would be. It just takes a little bit of concentration and just kind of paying attention to the details on little things like the hinge and stuff. But honestly, I believe you can do it. I really believe you can do this. And to be able to have your very first journal have something like this in it, I would say that would be impressive to anyone. Oh, excuse me, Boots, you got your toe there. I think that anybody who saw that would be impressed with your prowess with paper. And considering it's your first piece, I think it's awesome. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful Mayday Monday for the rest of this. And we're going to do some more interesting paperwork next week. I've got a design that I'm looking at. There's 2 different designs that are similar, and I'm looking at it to see which one I want to do. And I think I know which one I want to do. I don't have a prototype of it yet. I may make an extra video during the week this week showing you the prototype of what we're going to do for the next week. And sorry this took 2 weeks to do, but honestly, we would have had the longest video in history had I put it all together in one. So I honestly think that it was a better decision to do it in 2 videos. I don't plan to do that very often. This one just happened to be a little bit complex and needed a little bit additional explanation. So if you have any questions or not sure what anything's about, get in there and you can go. I've added this Create with Squudge craft is in our links on that on the post that I have on the video or on the first page, and you can follow that link to her thing, and it's called a pull down waterfall is what she calls it. So if you have any questions and want to go back to the original, that's where I saw it from. And I have no idea where she learned it from. I don't even remember if she said in the video itself where she learned it from. But it was one, I've seen it in numerous places. There's lots of videos about it. For me, this happened to come out and look really good, and the instructions were clear. So I hope that I made those clear. And look, please, any questions you have, just put them in the comments and I'll reply back to you. Thanks a bunch. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I hope that y'all are having a wonderful day. And if times are troubling, just set it aside and realize that this is not, in 5 years from now, in 1 year from now, what effect will this actually have on my life? I know I'm having a crappy day, but in a year from now, this day will just be a memory. It won't be over. Everything is going to be okay. And just put your heart out there and believe and trust. You're going to be all right. And my heart goes out to y'all, each and every one. So we will see you soon, and enjoy your Monday. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.